Hi everyone. Asmongold has to be the best example of some streamer who has millions upon millions of dollars, insanely rich, and somehow they still have the lifestyle of like some disgusting person that stays at home all day and eats nothing but fast food. Like by every metric, he shouldn't be popular. Me personally, I don't find him that funny, and I don't even know like what game he plays like often. And by that I mean I don't know like if he's playing the news games like the new Call of Duty, or he's still playing like World of Warcraft. One of those things, he has to like he has to play a game that's popular and is bringing in new people. Because otherwise, why would you want to watch the same guy for multiple years play the same game that still hasn't been updated, or still, essentially, or nothing has changed, like nothing at all? It just feels very mundane. And not to mention as well, when you're a millionaire, like most streamers, like if you're a millionaire, like some big streamers, I mean, not like every streamer ever, you would have, you would put some money into your setup. I mean, like your background, your streaming room. So when people, click on your stream and they're completely new to you, they see, like the professional setup you have and be like, oh wow, this guy's a real deal. I want to watch him. But when you watch his streams, Asmongold, you see like some disgusting like backlit room where it's like very grey. There's like some American flag up there, a poster for a game that's like 10 years old, and just like a very dingy room. And you're like, okay, it doesn't look that interesting. But then you look up a picture of like his actual room, which you've all seen by now, and it looks just absolutely foul, like just disgusting. Like right now I want to like pull up some pictures of like his room because it's so fucking disgusting. Like it's actually like a try to find the object picture where there's so much shit going around. You really have to you have to like zoom in to find all the stuff. Yeah, here it is. Oh my god, dude, that's miserable. Right, in this picture is like a pretty good contrast because on the left you have a very dark setting, but here it's completely like bright contrast, fully white because of all the big gulp drinking cups, but so like an insane amount. I have no idea where you buy these because they're American. I think you have to go to like a gas station to buy this kind of stuff. And he goes so often. I mean, at this point, why not use the same one over and over? Why waste money? And also, I just realized now, you probably have to buy a new one, because if you use like an old one, like right here in the bottom left corner, it would probably have like some maggots in it. So he has to keep it fresh, do not get an infection. And the living room as well. Like it goes past from the point of like him having like a dirty setup for like the pure comedy of it, and then you see like his actual living room, which has no excuse to be this disgusting. I mean, you have cardboard, you have a MacBook just dying down on the corner. You got a bunch of shit everywhere. You have a MacBook that's probably useless because like, there's so much shit around it. You can't even move the mouse an inch. What else do you have? You've got a bunch of. I like how you can even tell the pure signs of laziness. I mean, of course, apart from the room, but also you have like this one part of the couch that isn't covered in clothes, and you can tell it's because whenever he wants to watch a TV, he pushes everything aside and sits down right here to watch the TV over there, which probably has the signal from the TV remote blocked because of the whole garbage right here on the table. Is that a sewing machine? That is so. What if does he have a sewing machine? That's so useless. Okay, what else does he have? Surely there's more shit going around here. I mean, in the first picture, I just realized there's a bag full of like crisps right here. So I'm guessing whenever he's hungry, like this section right here is like his own like garbage plus fridge section. So like whenever he's hungry for a snack, he turns to the left and picks up like a bag of crisps. But that's it, is there a picture of his fridge? I have to see that right now. No, there is. Never mind. Okay, fuck that. Okay, but do not get off track. I have to go back to my point. I bring them up, especially now with a new trendy video, because last week he made a video talking about like why we talked about like wide reasons of like he has a very dirty room and he never cleans it. And with that reason, you could make like a decent 3-minute video. But with what he had, he went on for about half an hour to just say, he's a very dirty place and he's too lazy to do it himself or hire a maid to clean it for him. In a half-an-hour video, you're like, okay, what the fuck is he talking? Like, what reason, what colossal reason does he bring up to why, he can't, to explain why he can't clean his room? And I haven't watched myself, but I've seen people react to it, and the amount of trauma and personal shit that he says is actually insane. So in this video, I want to go over it real quick. I would laugh at him somewhat because I don't feel bad for laughing at him because I know the end of the story. He's an insanely rich streamer, so I don't really mind. Like, if he was a very miserable, if he was a very miserable person, I would feel bad for laughing at him. But the fact that he's a millionaire and he still has a very dirty room that can't be bothered to clean it, then yeah, I don't mind at all. Anyways, he starts off the video being like how when he was a kid, or what did he say actually? Okay, so he talks about how when he was a kid, his mom that he's close to she told him about the Bible and the sins of life, which automatically sounds like a very cultish opening. And then I don't really mind that, to be fair, but he brings up like how when he was a kid, he was playing baseball with another kid. He got so pissed off, he full force threw it at the kid and broke his nose. Okay, so it's the first sign of a streamer. I mean, I feel like at that point, if I was a teacher, I'd be more like, what the fuck's up with this kid? Like, I would assume more that he'd become like a fighter, like a boxer, some very violent guy. But it felt like that was him, as a kid being very violent, and then went on to become a streamer. That's a very bizarre turn, where he might potentially do something worse. I mean, so far he hasn't. He has a pretty clean record for, like a streamer. Like, he hasn't been in any controversy, apart from just being disgusting. But then, yeah, moving on, he talks about how when he was in high school, he felt very out of place, very not normal. And I mean, it happens to everyone. But I think with him, he's the one kid that would be like, he would assume he's not normal, and then turns out, yeah, he's not normal at all. Because then, what does he says like how he never got a girlfriend in high school. I mean, fair enough, like with a lot of people. And how he'd always stick around. Oh, okay, there's one pretty sad part. Sad as in, like in the actual context of this happening before in the past, it's sad, but now looking back as a full story, it's pretty funny. Saying how he would actually be suicidal, later in his teenage years, from just how miserable his life was. Like, around that point, his mom's health got worse. He was fighting with his dad, and overall, the whole track of his life seemed pretty bad, and he was actually suicidal. But the one thing holding him back was the idea of an expansion for World of Warcraft coming up soon, and him just putting off the suicide. Like, that single expansion to a game was so good, or he wanted it so badly, it stopped him from taking his own life.
I had always assumed that I would kill myself after high school. Like, that was my plan. And, Wrath of the Lich King came out, and I just got distracted. I forgot.
You know what? I'm glad it did, because, I don't advocate for anyone, killing themselves. But at the same time, once you move past that, the whole idea of a World of Warcraft expansion saving your life is objectively pretty funny. And that's something you should be, very happy for. Wait, hold on, I just remember now, yeah. He brings up suicide quite a bit, because there's another part before that story where his parents would move back and forth from locations, and he'd always swap schools. And for him, I mean, for any kid, they always swapping high schools, not that big of a deal. But for him, he hated the idea of, going back and forth so much that he actually threatened to, kill himself for the whole idea. And I bring that up because, if you threaten to kill yourself over stuff that quickly for something so minor, then yeah, I don't really think it fully weighs in on your mind as much more than just being a threat or a consideration. I can't fully make fun of him because there's another part moving from past that where he talks about his mom, and I don't want to make I can make fun of him, in general, but the whole story of his mom having worse health over time, getting worse and worse to the point where she started screaming in the middle of the night from some pain, and she almost went half senile from what I remember. then yeah, that story is pretty sad. I can't make any jokes about it. If you want more funny jokes, let's skip forward. But then yeah, after that, he talks around the 50-minute mark. He talks about how around this point, with his life becoming more miserable and his mom getting worse and his dad also fighting with him. He talks about how his idea of keeping with general health was he was losing it. And around that point, he stopped brushing his teeth as much, which from there started the whole snowball effect where he wasn't brushing every day, and slowly over time, his teeth got worse to the point that he actually lost multiple, like a shit ton. And for any normal person, they would lose one tooth and be like, oh my god, I have to change my life around, or at least brush my teeth more often. But for him, he lost so many that there had to be a point where he had to go to a dentist and fix, a couple, or at least put on some more. And his dad had to pay for it. But any teenager would still have, a good idea on general health, to the point that they wouldn't ignore it to the point of them losing their teeth. They would still, keep that often. I mean, around this point of his life, he was very miserable and depressed. But once you lose your first tooth and get, multiple fillings, then yeah, general hygiene would immediately come back to your mind and you would never ever forget it.
I could feel myself no longer being the same as anybody else, right? And I actually, for a while, I really hated it, but then I got used to it, and then I embraced it.
He embraced it. Fuck. Okay, so I'm watching this video around 17 minutes, and it talks about how once he started losing his teeth and his life, went downhill, he lost the hope of being a normal person, and he embraced it fully. If your life is going downhill and you have a very poor self-image, I'm sure it makes a lot of sense at that point in time to embrace your shittiness. But at the same time, that could be, and only should be, a phase in your teenage life. Once you move on and you have more money, you take better care of yourself, you become a more mature person with a better self-image. But with him, I mean, yeah, like he said, he got his teeth better, he's living a much better life, he's much happier, or he's happier than before. But even then, having that image of you being that image of you not being a normal person shouldn't stick around for this long, to the point that your own house still looks like the same when it did when you're a teenager. Oh, and by the way, if his house looks like this right now, when he's a huge millionaire and a massive streamer, I can't even imagine how bad it looked a couple of years ago when he was at the lowest point of his life. My god. Okay, but now let's talk about actually a big point of his life where he wants to turn things around. Where after high school he wants to get a job at Sam's Club. I have no idea what that is, but it sounds like a very miserable store. And surprise, it was a miserable store. Okay, there's a pretty funny part where he says a shitty job inspired him to become a better person and have a better life. That's pretty funny, because after that he wanted to become a lawyer, fully dedicate himself to that career, which is such a bizarre term for him. And I should mention as well, he said before in the video that when he was younger, a teenager, he stabbed a kid at school. Okay, now I have no idea what he means by stabbing, because that could be with an actual knife or some instrument like a plastic fork, that could mean anything. But the fact that it was severe enough for him to remember it, then yeah, I'm surprised that violence didn't stick around to the point that he wants to become a lawyer, a complete total opposite. But yeah, this part of the video is probably the happiest, because after he gets over the hurdle of fixing his teeth, because still growing up, he didn't take care of them after that, and it got so bad that he lost a shit ton, and he only had 4 real teeth. I'm not sure if he means he lost everything and only had 4 teeth an actual crackhead, or if he means he got implants, that kind of stuff, and then in reality most of them were fake, but there were only 4 real ones. I think it's that one, because there's no way a normal person would walk around the streets with only 4 real teeth like an actual madman. But even that, I mean, from what he said, it costed a lot to get them fixed and get veneers, $50,000. Holy shit! But after that, that was big enough. That was a big enough improvement to make him want to live a better life. But in terms of jobs, I'm not sure how far he took as a lawyer, because he said nothing about going to school. But then around that time, he started streaming, often, and then from there, yeah, you know the full story. He started streaming some more. He got a bigger fan base, and now he's massive. like one of the biggest streamers, definitely. But despite that, okay, that whole story of, like, you know, of him fixing his life, like, go from very shitty to now, which is much better. That was a pretty, you know, bizarre story and quite uplifting, because it shows, like, you know, anyone, no matter your position in life, it can get better if you work for it. But despite that, this whole, like, half an hour long trauma dumping story didn't really explain why his room is so bad that there are rats and cockroaches everywhere. Like, the only takeaway I got from it is that like, his whole, like, dirty room is like a representation of, like, his shitty life, and for him to clean it is like a mental challenge, you know, having to confront his past, and for him that would be very difficult. But even then, you know, if you're at the point of, you know, being, like, much richer than most people and living a much better life, to the point of having, you know, better teeth. Oh, and that shocked me. I had no idea that he had veneers, like fake teeth. I mean, I knew they were fake teeth, but I had no idea, like, even right now, they're all veneers. And that shocked me, because if he's this ugly with veneers, my fucking god. But also, despite that, he's still, like, most people, like, with his mindset of being a very miserable person, having, like, a shitty upbringing, that's the miserable. But in his position, he's better off than, like, 90% of people. I mean, yeah, I get it. If you're struggling mentally, the money you have will do nothing for you. But at the same time, I feel like with him, you know, for, like, having a career as big as him and being 34 and having millions, it would make you more different than, like, the average person that's had a bad upbringing and is miserable and depressed. Because at bare minimum, just pay someone to clean your room. I mean, you know, like, he gave, like, a very long story about, like, his upbringing, which was very sad and funny in some parts. But in reality, you're only like $50 away from, like, paying, like, some Spanish woman to come to your house and clean your place or that pool. If you got, like, a Spanish maid, like, some Mexican woman, that would be so miserable, because she would have no idea, like what she'd have to do. Whatever poor soul has to go into his labyrinth and clean his dungeon should be paid a shit ton. Honestly, come on.